Assertive, independent and spoilt for choice. Students are now conscious decision makers in their destinies. They are more unfettered in their career choices and willing to go that extra mile, accepting nothing less than the best.
I basically wanted to pursue my master's in landscape architecture, so I wanted to go into some more specialized niche kind of a field.
Now I'm going to pursue my PhD in astrophysics because that's my subject.
My dream college is Princeton, and I've applied to a number of colleges like Stanford, Cornell and Brown and UC Berkeley.
A career choice is a weighty decision, and for many Indian students, the United States of America continues to be the Mecca for education. And within that Mecca, the holy grail of education are the prestigious schools of excellence, the Ivy League schools. A group of 8 universities that make up this power-packed league are Harvard, founded in 1636, Yale in 1701, University of Pennsylvania in 1740, Princeton in 1746, Brown and Columbia in 1754, Dartmouth in 1769 and Cornell in 1865.
How you doing?
What started off as an athletic conference composed of sports teams from these 8 schools now represents an educational philosophy inherent to the nation's oldest schools. The Ivy League school reputations are also based on the exclusivity of their admissions policies, with as less as 8% of applicants being accepted in some schools. These schools provide excellent educational opportunities, especially in the humanities and sciences. Popular majors at the Ivy League include the social and physical sciences, engineering, business and marketing, amongst many others, leading graduates from these schools onto careers with higher than average salaries.
You can only imagine the personal development side, when you study at these universities. Academic wise, they have the best professor, best facilities. You'll be the best engineer that the world will have. But at the same time, you'll also have that kind of experience, and you'll also develop in a personal way. You'll be more matured. Your perspective will widen, and that's the reason why the application and admissions is so hard.
Ivy League, and for that matter other equally prestigious institutions like Stanford, Berkeley, Northwestern, Chicago, NYU and MIT want to recruit students who write extremely original and creative applications. They want to know what drives you and what motivates you. They want to see self-aware applicants. They want to see applicants who have USPs. They want to see applicants who have transferable skills which they can apply at the university or in a career afterwards.
And for Delhi-based Rituparna Simlai, the choice was no different. Wanting to pursue her master's in landscape architecture from Harvard or UPenn, 2 of the most prestigious schools of Ivy League, Ritu left no stone unturned to get it right. And her first step was to approach professional guidance, and EGE helped her sail through the process swiftly. The result, Ritu got selected at Harvard, her dream university, and is all set to leave in August to pursue her ambitions.
Tons of reasons for that. One, obviously, when you're amongst the best, it compels you to excel. You definitely are going to, think high, you're going to think big, and you're going to think like one big thing. It's not going to be focusing on a couple of small things. It's going to be one big gesture, and that is what really counts. When you come out of there, there's a philosophy, and you believe in yourself. And the people around you, there's a whole stamp from the Ivy League, they tend to, listen to you more.
And that's exactly the case with Pranay Agarwal, a boy next door with dreams in his eyes. In his final year of mechanical engineering at IIT Kanpur, Pranay applied for his master's in robotic engineering, and for him too the next destination had to be the Ivy League, or nothing less than the top 20. Pranay knew that if he had to get into his dream universities, he had to make an impact, and that's exactly what he did. He went out of his way to take up internships in robotics and began his preparation 15 months in advance.
The main strength of my application was my research work and my projects work. That includes my recommendation as well from the professors under whom I have worked. I did an internship for 3 weeks in UK, in the University of Sheffield, in Swarm Robotics itself. And again for 9 weeks I was in Australia.
It's a trial by fire to get accepted into the Ivy League, but the charm and lure of these universities is not lessened by the rigorous procedure. Key pointers, high test scores, clarity of goal, and an application that is a well-planned reflection of who you are.
It's like the epitome of hardship, because these tests series and all the things that they ask for and on the application is completely different from the Indian application. You know, over here you have a set of marks that are going to be compared with the rest of the students, and that's how you get through. Here there are marks, and not only your final marks, but then your marks from the 9th grade to the 12th grade.
It's not about you having an exceptional profile, it's about your profile aligning with the university's profile. So unless you believe in what they believe in, you cannot reflect it in your SOPs or you cannot reflect it in your portfolio.
I feel like what they're looking for is firstly, you have to be in the top 5% of your class. You have to be academically gifted. That is number one. You have to, because you're going to one of the top 10 colleges in the US. So that's the first thing. They have to see that you've demonstrated leadership abilities, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, whatever extracurricular activities that you're involved in, you have to have made an impact, and you can only make an impact if you have like a leadership role in those activities, and they want to see that you have some kind of goal.
Though exceeding academically is one of the key pointers, what can really make the difference is how creatively you write your essays. Writing them well in advance in order to get time to think through them can make that critical difference.
Essays, which is basically the SOPs, which is a statement of purpose, or the letter of recommendations, or even the essays that some universities ask the students to write, are very, very important. An SOP it's almost like a thumb impression. You know, it has to be that unique to a student. In fact, the admission council looks for the soul of the student in the SOP. So it's really very critical. So we advise students on actually bringing their inner feelings out in an SOP. We've got counseling sessions, we've got editors on our board, we've got mentors who work with the student in making sure that the student actually displays his inner feelings and comes out and writes a winning SOP.
So what can students do to make sure that their dream of getting into these prestigious universities is realized? And can everyone who aspires to get in actually make the cut?
The very important thing is a realistic assessment of what you have, what are they looking for, and do we have enough time and ability to bridge that gap. So once you come at that, some kind of a realistic assessment of that, then you make a roadmap which is more sure to actually get you to a place which is the best suited to your achievements, to your aspirations.
It's time for a short break, but on the other side, we get you a lowdown of how you can actually walk through the hallowed corridors of the Ivy League through proper planning and guidance. Why do students want to attend an Ivy League school? These are schools with the best professors in the respective field, the best research facility, the finest of libraries, the highest paying placements, but most important are the connections that the students form, friendships and network that help shape their future.
I as a student graduate from an Ivy League college, whether that's at the master's level or at the undergraduate level, and I tell an employer that I have graduated from an Ivy League college, he will know that this student was amongst the top students of his class in his batch. It's analogous to saying in India, I came out from IIT.
Ivy League, you know, when you hear the sound, it mesmerizes you. So that's the first thing that comes to your mind. And Ivy League colleges, as everyone knows, are like some of the best colleges in the whole world. And I don't think there's anyone who hasn't heard about them.
Each of the Ivy League colleges has its own admissions criteria. In other words, a SAT score of 2100 means one thing at Brown and something else to the other 7 Ivy League colleges. But it's that big step into an Ivy League university, and it takes guts to dream big. While it's all right to have stars in your eyes, what does it take to get into an Ivy League? Are you born for an Ivy League, or can you work hard to get in? Or do you have that X factor that could work in your favor?
I think the ones going to Ivy League are young leaders at a very early stage. So they take the initiative, like they started from the college days. Once they step into college, they take up new opportunities.
Initially, what I used to think they're looking for gods, but then I realized, you know, even the students who go, they're all human beings and they're all study properly. So definitely hard-working students who can actually just raise the bar, if anything. And I think that's what is really what they're looking for.
Yes, it's that first but all-important step that can make or break a student's chances of getting into the Ivy League.
Thank you, EG, for helping me with internships, accommodations, and for being my best friend away from home.
And this is where professional guidance can make all the difference. Working on student portfolios and their overall personality development can enhance their chances of admission.
Columbia University is a more business-based, entrepreneurial-based school. So they made sure my applications and my projections are such that they're more related to entrepreneurial. So all my startups were put in, the social community work and the Harvard initiative, everything was put in. So they helped me finalize colleges. They helped me how my approach should be towards each college. Because you apply to 4 or 5 or 10 different colleges, but each of them have their own, culture when it comes to education. The kind of students they breed is different. So how do you project yourself right so that they feel that, okay, this guy is different, this guy is interesting and I should call him here.
Universities also want to know how much and to what extent can you use all the resources which they will put at your disposal, right? Because at Ivy League institutions, there is no dearth of what they can supply to you in terms of tools and resources and learning opportunities. So these are the ways which you need to stand out in an application, and basically doing that comes back to very well written essays, a succinct resume that clearly captures your achievements, and extremely powerful letters of recommendation and a very good interview.
I will be mostly eligible for 2014.
Yeah, so we recommend you to go for 2015 once you have a complete 2 years of work, okay?
And it's the multi-layer team at EGE Global Education that closely looks into all these pointers.
That's what we need to be careful of, the kind of information that is more relevant.
Apart from mentorship program that helps answer student concerns, there are interactions with EGE's think tank, a team based in Mumbai.
I believe through this assessment form he has given us a lot of information.
The think tank comprises of highly qualified professionals who are graduates from leading foreign universities and research staff to support students. Their guidance can be the critical differentiating factor that ensures students enroll with them an edge over the others.
First, let's talk about his academic profile. Then let's talk about his GMAT. Then let's talk about the work experience. Our representatives continuously network with foreign university admissions officers to find out what it really takes to be a successful applicant to those institutions, and they feedback that information to our counselors at the Indian level.
The benefit of mentor calls, especially when it is on Skype, is I can give them a mini university tour as well. Like sometimes I'm, in my class, I can take them to lecture house, I can show them the dorms, I can show them the dining halls, especially parents are very interested in this part, you know, the food and like dining hall. And one funny thing, once I was having this Skype session with the students, and then I was just like right in front of my dorm trying to show him like where or how all the buildings are, and then a CUPD car just drove by, which is Cornell University Police Department. So the parent was like, oh, the university has a police department. And you know, before that, the mom was asking me, you know, questions about how safe it is going to be.
Most students agree that without a guiding light, getting into a university of their choice, especially if it's an Ivy League school, would have been an impossible task. The do-it-yourself approach works when you have time on your hands. But for most overwrought students, this can be a very demanding task.
I would have been able to do it on my own, but it would have been a really cumbersome process and it would not have been done as efficiently. And a dream university would have remained a dream, like you know.
Many students choose to apply on their own. That's absolutely fine, nothing wrong with it. But it certainly helps, as we call, to get a second opinion. Because it's not easy for someone to know or figure out what he or she is good at. What are the shortcomings? So putting that all together into a validating what they already know, I think the role of a consultant is critical over there.
Another opportunity for students who are preparing to apply to Ivy League is EGE's Ivy League Conclave, their flagship event which is conducted once a year. An event that provides a platform for speakers who have studied at top global schools in the world to share their experiences with students who are dreaming to get into those schools. An open platform where aspiring students and their anxious parents can share their apprehensions.
The Ivy League Conclave was conceptualized and launched by EGE based on our identifying a need gap between the students who want to go there to study and the students who've actually been there. So the whole idea was to bring the students and the graduates of the world's top universities face to face with the students and enable the students to ask any doubts, questions or queries they may have about how do you apply abroad, how do you get into a top school, how do you get a scholarship. So these graduates of the top schools share their own personal experiences and answer any doubts of the students or their parents.
Basically one day it's like you devote a couple of your hours and you get all your questions and issues addressed, you know, what you would spend maybe 2 days on the internet trying to find, asking different people. It's like all those things come into one place.
The only place where I remember stepping in, like I said, is the Ivy League Conclave that they had held. That really helped because here they had people who had already studied from such institutions who knew what they were talking about. So they had gone through that system. There were students, there were mentors, and these are the very people who are counseling your children eventually. So definitely it was a first-hand experience that they were passing on to, you know, our children.
But a lot of times the choice to get into a dream Ivy League university is often a decision that is dictated by hard economics. Getting admission into the league can prove to be a pretty packet. While some argue it's well worth the expenditure, after all, these colleges are nothing less than the best.
Financial planning has 3 or 4 elements. The first and foremost is applying for the financial aid or scholarships which the universities or the departments to whom you are applying offer. Many times there is a separate application required and EG helps you to understand what is the application you need to make and how do you go about making it. But we also advise the students to know very well that these awards are really very competitive and it's important to have a realistic assessment as to whether you will get it and how much you will get it so that you have a proper financial plan in place. The second is there are organizations in India who give scholarships or some kind of financial assistance to help the students, the meritorious students, to fulfill their dream of studying abroad. Now when you take both these into account, you're left with, you know, the loan that you need to raise. So there are banks and financial institutions who have, you know, several criteria based on which loans are given.
Ivy League schools claim a great balance from being the front runner in academics to letting the student blossom with special focus on extracurricular activities and community service. and the alumni of these schools are nothing less than industry champions in their own right.
I was in the corporate world for many years. I ran Procter & Gamble India for many years, and I found that my background in the humanities, especially history, philosophy, literature, gave me a perspective on human nature, on what human beings were like, and the way to treat them. So what does that say? That I ended up making a life instead of preparing to make a living. So that's the distinction, that good education is about making a life.
Most students aim to reach for the stars. They dare to dream and dare to deserve the best. And their sheer grit and determination can transform those dreams into a reality. The road is tough, but it's definitely worth it when it comes with the priceless glamour of conquering the Ivy League. Next week, in our concluding episode of Enabling Global Education, we give you a complete lowdown on what is making foreign universities the best option for most students aspiring to get a holistic and fulfilling education.